Chapter 7, Part 7. Chapter 7, Part 5 got cut up into 5 and 6. So, if you're wondering what happened there. Kachina dolls are a prayer vehicle between humans and the gods. Now, this is a carved wood doll, but members of the Hopi tribe dress up periodically in Kachina costumes. It's not all one thing. There's different. There are different ones that they wear, different costumes that they wear. This particular one has the directions, the sacred directions on his face, and this one has to do with crop security. But there are different types. Now they're given to people, children in the home, but they're not toys. I mean, they're there to teach them about the various deities and the supernatural, of course, but they're kept in the home and they are embodied. If you look here, spirits of the dead dwell in the community during the winter and spring. So that's how it's felt. That's how it's considered. It isn't a doll per se, but it is a vehicle for prayer. We also have another piece, the Nakandi. It's kind of what it's called. The figures. These are specific things from Africa. There's a variety of these in museums. They're really amazing. I think they're fascinating. This particular piece. So what it is used as a form of prayer to counter evil influence. Now you could kind of think of it. This is from Africa and Haiti, which has voodoo. It has a similarity in terms of the visual, but it's kind of the opposite, where the nails put into this piece and the pieces of metal put into this piece are to activate this shaman, to activate this power figure and get it to yell at someone to leave you alone. With a voodoo doll, if you've heard of that at all, it's a similar concept in that you put nails into or pins into a figure, but they are woven. They're like a fabric doll, and that is an embodiment of a person that you want to cause harm to. So in this case, what you're trying to do is mitigate a circumstance where somebody's caused you harm, and then you put these pieces of metal into this shaman, and his mouth will scream out to the person that's hurting you. That's how it's released. I think it's fascinating. Okay, so the cosmos, another topic, another heading in our book. How it's depicted in different religions. It's about the origin of the world, usually, or in the structure of the universe. Those are the main things. Also, it'll sometimes include spiritual beings and the place of humans in relation to gods and a diagram of time. Now, this is a really famous piece, the Sistine Chapel. The ceiling is done by Michelangelo, and he's such a I could talk about this, and then there are long videos on this piece. But what he has here is he has an architectural space. If you see this here, that's an actual architectural space right there. Much of what you're seeing in here, this sort of yellower looking stone, that he painted in. So he painted in all these segments so he could break up the Bible into different stories. There's a lot of imagery here. It's too much to talk about. But the main center of the cosmos for the Christian world is God inventing Adam, and that's the beginning that's the origin of the world. And then we get into all these other scenes, Noah and all the other biblical characters in this beautiful painting. Michelangelo was a sculptor. He hated doing this piece. He was up on scaffolding, up on that ceiling. This is a fresco. He painted it directly onto the surface of the ceiling. Imagine laying on your back for years, reaching up to paint something on the ceiling, several hundred, like 100 feet away. I don't know, it's probably like 40 feet up. Very uncomfortable. So we see God depicted as his older man. Remember, we talked about that earlier in Christianity, the older man and the younger, in this case Adam, but Christ would be a younger person as well. And here we have the temptation up here. And some of these stories I'm really not that familiar with. They're ones I had not heard of, but There's a lot on here, and it's a beautiful piece, beautifully painted, and it was cleaned recently. The mandala that we're seeing here, this is Buddhist, and mandalas were originally created by the Hindus. Again, the Buddhism is growing out of Hinduism in the way that Christianity is growing out of Judaism. And it's got a direction here. The mandala is the circular part here, and the things that are within it are the parts of the universe and the layers and so on. So it's a form and it's a map of the cosmos. This particular one is pretty small, 23 by 18 inches wide, 16th century, and this is a watercolor or gouache piece on cotton cloth. It's going to reinforce the belief that the cosmos, including the physical and spiritual world, is an uninterrupted whole of continuing fluctuating energy states. We have the four directions, north, south, east, west. The circle symbolizes the void before creation. Image of God will appear in this emptiness. Now again, there is no image of God in Hinduism or Buddhism, but that would be where God would appear.